welcome to Wacky Wednesdays, where everyone has a chance to show off their car mods. And here's this week's winner.
This is my 2004 Pontiac Grand Am, fresh from the scrapyard. My scrapyard daily driver. This car has a 3.4 liter V6, comes with a 4-speed automatic transmission with overdrive. The engine was carried over from a line of GM minivans in the late 90s. It shares the same basic body as the Oldsmobile Alero and Chevy Malibu from that time. This car came optional with ABS and traction control, but this does not have either of those. I don't know any of the history from previous owners or anything like that, or even how long it's spent in the scrapyard, but it seems like it was involved in some sort of front-end collision since the body up here has been replaced. It came with a sunroof, which is functional. Everything on the engine is functional. The transmission is in great condition, which is really surprising given that it came from a scrapyard. All of the suspension, however, was very poor when I got the car. Pretty much everything was worn out or torn up, and the steering wheel and all of the alignment was very, very off. Power windows, power mirrors, power locks. When I got the vehicle, they didn't have a key for it, so they ripped out the ignition, put this one in, so you can't lock the doors when you're not in it. Features are kind of bare bones. Temperature controls are real basic. Fan intensity, temperature mode. It comes with this nice leather covered shifter. The seats are almost bucket seats, but they're very worn out. They're a little bit uncomfortable to sit on. The emergency light switch broken, and so sometimes when I turn my turn signals on, they don't work. Brand new, the car made 170 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque. I'm not sure how much it makes now. It has cruise control. The cruise control module is installed, but nothing is hooked up into these buttons, and the buttons themselves are broken, so there's no cruise control technically. And the horn doesn't work. I don't know if it's not hooked up or if it's just broken, but windshield wipers work. Turn signals work for the most part. It's got automatic headlights, which comes in handy because I do a lot of my driving at night. I'm missing some panels, like I've got a vent cover missing here. We've got a fuse box over here. There's another one on the passenger side, which is missing its cover. The adjuster knob on the passenger seat is broken off. But the parking brake works. The transmission works. Everything pretty much works. Pretty roomy in the back seat, which comes in handy for car seats. And we've got some damaged trim in here. No big deal. The defrost on the back window works. However, only the speakers in the front are functional. We've got fog lights that don't work, but the light dimmer works. Let's take a look at the engine. This is the 3.4 liter 3400 V6, as they call it. GM used this engine in a lot of its minivans in the late 90s, and so when they came out with the Grand Am, they stuck it in here. So far, the engine is functioning perfectly, which I'm really surprised by for coming out of a scrapyard. I haven't replaced anything on the engine. I did have to replace the cooling tank. It had faulty threads and was leaking coolant. And the battery that was in the car when I got it was a bad battery, and it wasn't even the right kind of battery. But we got that sorted out. If we take a look under here, the reason I believe it was in a front-end collision is that the condenser is bent inward. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, the condenser's beat to crap. So for history of how I got this car, I used to own a 2015 Chrysler 200. I used that as my daily driver. It was our only vehicle. But in June of 2018, I was involved in a car accident. I was going through a light, and a woman in a Chevy Silverado ran the light, hit me right on the passenger wheel. It sent the axle into the transmission, broke the transmission. They totaled the car. Insurance was taking too long to settle everything, and I needed to get back to work. So my grandmother found this car at a scrapyard. She bought it, brought it to me, and like I said, the suspension was in terrible shape. I fixed most of it. I still need to replace the struts. I fixed most of the suspension. I haven't had to do anything to the engine. Power steering works. The brakes work. I am missing a fog light down here. I hit a small animal coming home from work one night and it tore out the fog light. But I'm surprised with how well everything on this car works for coming from a scrapyard. But it packs a pretty good punch. It gets me where I'm going, and if I really need to, it'll zip pretty quick. And like most Pontiacs, it's got a pretty wide body, huge engine bay. It's got these wheel wells that are extended a little bit, so it's definitely inspired by their more performance vehicles, but it's definitely not made to be a performance vehicle. Hopefully one day I will finish fixing this suspension and maybe get the car painted. You can definitely probably call this thing a beater, but it's been my daily driver now for over 6 months, and I'm very happy with it. Normally when you find a vehicle at a scrapyard, it's got a ton of problems, from engine to braking to everything else. So I really lucked out with this vehicle.
Well, that was this week's video, and to have your car mod shown on my channel here, check this out. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.